Hey guys, it's your boy Progress, and welcome to a brand new video. If you want to follow my other social media, I've got my Twitter and Instagram on screen in the description, so if you want, then go check those out. But today, I'm here to speak on my final issues that I've really got with Genius at this point. About 4 months ago, you probably have seen that I uploaded my first video on Genius, but I had a part in that video that I ended up cutting because I felt like it kind of distracted from the main narrative that specific video was supposed to be telling. If you do want a bit of a backstory on who Genius is, then I'd probably go and suggest you watch that video because it also airs out my original criticisms with them. But let's get into the topic of today's video, which is I have a huge problem with how Genius works when it comes to industry plants. Not even just including the kind of more obvious stuff that people have pointed out to me, where, you know, you can kind of tell that they may have been paid off by industry plants or the labels of industry plants to get them to get interviews in place of people who are probably way more deserving of it, but that's not really what my issue with them is. Genius has also been extremely disingenuous when it comes to the message that they push about industry plants. This started just under a year ago when my industry plant videos really started getting the main traction, and then on April 19th of 2019, Genius released a video called Are Industry Plants Real?, which was supposed to be a part of their Genius News series. So you would expect if they were going to be making a video of this type of topic that they would take arguments from both sides and kind of show you what the main arguments are from people who are for or against industry plants, and then, you know, map out exactly what an industry plant is, but instead, that's not really what you get. The video starts off with the host, Jacques Morel, extremely simplifying and basically lying about what an industry plant is, and tries to make it seem like the only factor that matters is that the person blew up quickly out of nowhere.
And sometimes it feels like stardom happens practically overnight, leading some to believe that this is a grand conspiracy from a record label. Then an artist is deemed an industry plant. Like in the case of Chicago's Juice WRLD, he rocketed into the Billboard Hot 100 over the span of a few months in 2018 on the back of his lovelorn hit Lucid Dreams, which led to a $3 million deal and the industry plant title on message boards and social platforms. The logical reasons for his success could be opportunity, talent, and luck, but for some hip-hop fans, it's much darker than that.
As you can see from the get-go, he tries to make it seem like people who call someone an industry plant are just crazy conspiracy theorists. And then he goes and brings up luck and talent. And, you know, I'm sorry to have to be the one to say this, but situations occur based off of the results of previous events that happened. Believing that luck is the reason that somebody is famous is honestly a bigger conspiracy than anything else. The definition of luck itself would also contradict listing that a person has talent, because talent is based off of the understanding that somebody is good at a certain thing, whereas luck is entirely based off of things that are out of your control. So since you have the ability to perform and be good at something, then luck does not apply. We all know that there are millions upon millions, maybe even tens or hundreds of millions of people who are all trying to get famous and never will. Not because they're unlucky or the ones who do get famous are lucky. It's not that at all. There's so many other factors. Something as simple as one kid being able to afford equipment and then also has a friend who's a producer, and then he learns how to mix vocals on his own, and he also has a job, so he has a bit of spare cash on the side to put into promotion, has a lot better chance of succeeding than some kid who has no equipment, no producer, no engineering ability whatsoever, and no money to promote his stuff. But somebody becoming an industry plant is a completely different thing. Hey guys, Editing Progress here, and I just quickly wanted to add that what Jacques did there with him saying that, oh, you know, some things could be blowing up because of opportunity, luck, or talent, and then, you know, other people think, though, that it's some big conspiracy, like, that is actually a logical fallacy known as a red herring, and for those of you who don't know what that means, essentially what it is you have, like, a main point that's being argued, and, you know, to try and just distract from the actual argument, you just throw up this random point. Like, if the argument is supposed to be about industry plants, then it's like, well, yeah, cool, you know, something could blow up because of opportunity, luck, or talent, but that has nothing to do with industry plants. That's not what an industry plant is, so bringing it up doesn't make any sense. It essentially distracts from the main argument, so it's really, really misleading to do that, though, because it instantly is already trying to seed this random piece of information into the viewer's mind without actually letting them sit down and understand what the concept is that you're trying to talk about. But, oh Oh man, does it get so much better. Because actually, Jacques decides to bring up a journalist named Rogelio.
The conspiratorial nature of industry plants suggests that there are puppet masters, if you will, behind the scenes who are part of a nefarious plot to get these musicians off the ground.
That's Rogelio, a music reporter for the Chicago Reader and the author of How Did the Industry Plant Take Root. In it, he writes, quote, "Almost any rapper who experienced a sudden surge of popularity without help from a label got slapped with the tag." Essentially, the term industry plant is used to explain the sometimes unexplainable around how an artist becomes successful, and it grew out of message boards.
So as mentioned, Rogelio did write an article for the Chicago Reader that was called How Did the Industry Plant Take Root, in which Jacques in this scenario, he extremely cherry picks the whole article and leaves out a lot of viable information that is against industry plants. And how is it that I know this? Well, you know, I did the good thing that every researcher does, and I read over the article and also, another thing I guess I should probably mention, I have about a page-and-a-half interview that is in that article. Yeah, there's that too. Which, yes, I'm not even kidding, this article that he has brought up is actually one that I was a part of, where I detailed exactly what the real problems were with labels creating industry plants. This quote from the article sums up the argument that I was trying to make pretty well. Quote, "A Canadian YouTuber named John, who operates a channel as Progress, considers an industry plant to be a young musician snapped up by a label before having a chance to develop a sense of agency or artistic identity. He sees the practice as fundamentally predatory." End quote. Huh. That's kinda strange. I wonder why that didn't make it into your Genius video, Jacques. Now mind you, if Genius was supposed to be reputable, they wouldn't just simply go over all of the weakest arguments, right? They wouldn't just simply skim over the arguments that actually are extremely useful to the conversation, and instead go towards the arguments that are easy to go over. Would they? Now see, this is exactly why I'm starting to take such a big issue with what Genius has done. Even in the article that Genius is sourcing themselves, there is a whole section dedicated to some of the best arguments against industry plants, with the author of the article even backing me up. And somehow, none of the arguments that I made ended up in Jacques' video to be able to discuss. He only brings up artists that are super debunkable as to whether or not they may be industry plants, like Juice WRLD or Chance the Rapper and Cardi B. He uses this as like an, aha, see, your argument is so dumb, because out of the few people who I have decided to try and debunk this for, they're not industry plants, so industry plants aren't real. When arguing against these types of people, Neil deGrasse Tyson has a perfect quote for this that he uses instead for when people try and say that aliens can't exist because they haven't found one yet.
That's like going to the ocean, this has been said before, taking a cup of water, scooping up and saying, there are no whales in the ocean, you know? Here's my data, you know? You need a slightly bigger sample.
This same logic can be applied to the industry plant argument, or realistically anything for that matter. Of course, when you take a sample size that is way too small, or you compress the data to the point that it's almost nonsense, then obviously you're gonna come to the conclusion that that thing does not exist. The rest of the video is just Jacques basically using an appeal to authority fallacy, where he gets all these label A&Rs and these label people to come out and say, oh, well, industry plants can't exist because, well, you see, there's no exact formula to making somebody blow up, so haha, checkmate. But once again, no one is arguing this stupid, simple argument that, oh, there's a perfect formula that they're using. No. What people are saying, though, is that it's a complete lie to try and claim that there's one, no formula at all, or that they don't at least take styles from smaller artists who are on the rise to apply to these people that they want to make famous. Even in the rawest form of the term, Milli Vanilli were industry plants all the way back in 1988. This is not a new concept that we can debunk and say, oh, it doesn't exist. No, it does. It is a thing. It's not a conspiracy theory. It is a fact that this is real. And Jacques even goes in and uses this terrible argument that so many people in my comment section have used that I hate.
Industry plant is a slur that was born from a kernel of truth, but if an artist makes music that resonates, does it really matter how they started?
Every artist has the opportunity to do it. It's about what comes out those speakers. The music will last longer than your feelings.
This is a massive straw man argument, and as I have said, I hate it so much with a passion. For those of you who don't know, once again, a straw man is basically where there is a main argument that is at hand, but since the person who is opposed to that argument cannot come up with a good enough reason against it, instead they bring up this other argument to attack that when no one was trying to make that point in the first place. Also, only being focused on the fact that you get a product out of it and not actually how the artist is being treated makes this clip from Jay at Red Letter Media apply so well.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
This is essentially the basis of what this guy is trying to say. There's so many problems with the arguments that were made in this video that it just felt so forced. Using almost every form of manipulation in the book to try and cover a topic that genuinely needs to be talked about when it comes to the rights of an artist in a lot of debates, it made no sense to me at all. It felt more so like a video that was created to try and save face for somebody. Now, I'm not gonna claim in any way that I actually have the full, real, detailed reason as to why this is, but I think I do kind of have a general idea now as to why they would do this after doing a bit of research. For those of you who don't know, Genius actually has a bit of a rocky past when it comes to the major labels, because the major labels had actually at one point threatened a lawsuit against Genius due to the fact that Genius was able to make money with listing all of these lyrics on their page to songs that they don't own. And so basically Genius was forced into having to sign a deal of distribution with the major labels to ensure that they didn't end up getting shut down. Which even to this day you can actually go onto the Genius page and see that they have a whole section of their site that is dedicated to all of the major labels that they have deals with. Now, that's where this video of talking about industry plants and defending them so hardcore comes into play. Because once again, I'm not trying to claim that I've got all of the information here, but it makes a little more sense now as to why they may make the whole industry plant thing seem crazy. Maybe because, I don't know, you know, they don't want to lose money. I mean, even in its simplest form, as I mentioned kind of at the beginning of this video, you can see that Genius very much profits off of industry plants by getting them on for interviews. So, I mean, it kind of all connects together once you put all the things in place. It makes sense as to why they're doing this in a monetary way. That it's not truly to actually talk about industry plants and make a real news story about it. It's to try and put the story in their favor so they can justify taking money. Anyway, I think that that's a great place to leave this video off. I hope you guys did enjoy, and as always, a massive shout out to all my patrons. It means so much that you guys donate to me, and a special thank you to the $10 and up patrons this month, those being Farski, widwestfunky, Helen Gage, and follow at rap_thoughts on Instagram. Once again, thank you guys so much for your donations. It means so much that you guys are willing to support me in that way. And like I said, thank you to all who watched the video. Also, don't forget to go and check out my EP that just came out. It's called Hello, and it's by me, and it's on all platforms, so go check that out. And as always, remember guys, it should be art over algorithm. Goodbye.
I wanna make your days be worth it, be with your wet night, yeah. I wanna flirt and call you perfect, cause I know I'm right, yeah. I wanna make your days be worth it.